Today's episode is brought to you by Stream by AlphaSense, an expert interview transcript library that integrates AI-generated call summaries and NLP search technology so their clients can quickly pinpoint the most critical insights. Start your free trial at www.streamrg.co/PMC. That's STREAMRG.co/PMC. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of an offer to buy or sell securities. SNN Network, SNN Inc., and the Planet MicroCap podcast and the representatives are not licensed brokers, broker-dealers, market makers, investment bankers, investment advisors, analysts, or underwriters. We do not recommend any companies discussed. We may buy and sell securities in any company mentioned and may profit in the event those securities rise in value. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor, broker, or legal counsel before purchasing or selling any securities referenced in this podcast. Welcome to the Planet MicroCap podcast. I'm your host, Robert Kraft. Thank you all so much for the support and for tuning in. Do me a quick favor. If you like what you hear at Planet MicroCap, please take 2 seconds and give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple. This helps with the search engines so that more folks can also discover and engage with all things microcap stocks. Our next investor conference is coming up. The Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver is on September 6th and 7th, 2023 at the Fairmont Waterfront, Vancouver. We have the presenting companies up there, sponsors, speakers who include Dave Barr from Pender Fund, Harold Leishman and Brent Todd from Canaccord, Ryan Irvin from Keystone Financial, Hamed Shabazi from Well Health Technologies, and Paul Andreola from SmallCap Discoveries. Be sure to check out the website to learn more about the event, and to register and attend, please go to planetmicrocapshowcase.com. See you in Vancouver. Now, speaking of the Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver 2023, my guest on the show today is Paul Andreola, founder and editor of SmallCap Discoveries. Paul had a great idea in advance of the conference that we do a short breakdown of all the presenting companies currently listed, all subject to change, of course, to participate in the event. I like to be very collaborative when putting together our events and what companies folks would be interested in seeing. And that was especially the case for our first event up in Vancouver. Paul and his team were integral to that process. We just opened our one-on-one meeting platform this week for participants to start requesting meetings with CEOs. And so we thought it would be cool to share some quick insights to get you fired up to participate in the event. And it's not too late to register, by the way. PlanetMicroCapShowcase.com. Thank you again for tuning into the Planet MicroCap podcast. And please enjoy my conversation with Paul Andreola. Paul, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Good to see you again, Bobby.
Good to see you. And I'll be seeing you in person in a couple weeks here. And I mean, look, I think most people are probably asking, like, dude, you just had Paul on to talk about the event. Like, what? This is like, all right, okay, you're
enough already.
You're promoting this. Like, come on, man. But I have to give credit where credit's due. Paul was like, hey, Bob, we have this event coming up, in 2 weeks, Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver at the Fairmont Waterfront, Vancouver, September 6th and 7th, planetmicrocapshowcase.com. And, we just opened up one-on-ones. Folks are probably like, I want to give me a little custom look as to, some of these companies that are presenting and maybe get your insights. Because, Paul, if there's anybody that knows anything about, at the very least, all the Canadian listed companies, at least probably more so than the average microcap investor, is probably you at this point, because every single one of them crosses your desk. So I thought we kind of spend our time today going through the full list of companies that are presenting. It's not, not a crazy amount. We intentionally kept this a smaller first event, only about 34 companies, but I think it would be really cool if we could kind of give folks some insight as to who's presenting, maybe give a couple thoughts on where these companies are at and why they may or may not be interesting to either look at to see their presentation, or if you're going to be there in person to book a one-on-one. So having said all that, first things first, I'm going to say my disclosure. I do not own any of the companies that will be mentioned in this interview today. We're going to do our best with on the compliance side of things, so that I'm sure Paul will give his disclosures as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that, Paul, I mean, first, your overall take on the list that we put together. I think put together a pretty dang good list, in my opinion. I mean, actually, the one thing I always said to everybody, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. is that, look, we put together a microcap list of companies that, they're actually for the most part revenue generating. Like, oh, what a concept.
A company that actually is in business to generate money. I love that concept. I think it's great. No, you know what, Bobby? What I like about the list is like I know a number of these companies, and a lot of them I'm looking forward to getting a good solid update. More importantly, is a bunch of companies that I don't know, right? And I think that's the whole purpose for these sort of conferences is try to get out there and see some new information, get some new fresh ideas. And I think we've covered that in this list. We'll go through it a little bit, and I'll sort of describe the little bits and pieces that I know of some of these businesses, and then others, kind of what I'm looking forward to catching up on. So I think it's a great list. I think there's a lot of reasons to be there and look into some of these names.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's without further ado, let's get started. So I guess let's just go alphabetically. I think that
let's do that. It's probably easiest. Yeah.
So first up, we got Accrue, AKR on the TSX Venture, AKR FF on the OTC. They presented at a couple of our virtuals previously to come in person, and I think I just did an interview with Steve, so he said that this is actually, I think, his first in-person event in like 3 or 4 years since COVID. So love to get your take on Accrue.
Yeah, and interesting he says that, because I think you're going to get a lot of companies that haven't really been able to meet in person for quite a while. So yeah, Accrue is a name that I've known for years. Some very smart investors that I know are shareholders and continue to like what they're doing. It's a business that they are basically acquiring loyalty and sort of point generating businesses, point of sale type of businesses. So they've been able to grow over the course of the years. Grew again this year. If I remember correctly, actually were profitable this year. So one of these really small obscure companies that are kind of doing what they need to do to continue to grow their business, and very sort of determined management team. Doing the right things, trying to continue to grow the business. So I'm looking forward to catching up with Steve.
Absolutely. And one other point, and it's helpful because I try and interview every company before the event just to kind of get a quick update and share that they're going to be at the conference. And Steve, I mean, you said it yourself, like he was trying to tried to pivot the business into, I believe, point of sale. Not solely point of sale. He was going to have everything else, but then they just divested that the DD or the GG Golf. I think that I said that correctly. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting the more full update as to what they're trying to, what the new. Well, he kind of alluded what the new focus is, but I think getting some more color on that should be interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, looking forward to it as well.
Cool. All right. So we got, and by the way, I also want to say this, another little pseudo disclaimer here. We're recording this on Monday, August 21st, 2023. The list is subject to change. I've had it many times at our events where literally the week of or even the day before, a company might say, no, we can't make it. Or a company might be like, oh, we finally have this great news. We want to participate and sign up. So subject to change.
Subject to change, yeah.
Accrue will be there for sure. I know that for a fact. Steve already booked all this stuff. So next up, I got Adamas. Oh, by the way, are you a shareholder of Accrue?
No, I'm not a shareholder of Accrue. No.
Okay, cool. All right, so then we also have Adamas One Corp. Symbol is JEWL, Jewel on NASDAQ. Quick thing on Adamas, because they actually
not familiar with the name. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my wife's favorite subjects. They make diamonds, if I'm not mistaken. So
lab grown, yep.
Exactly, lab grown diamonds. So yeah, again, a name I'm not familiar with. So one of the reasons I want to check them out, find out what I can.
100%. And they're doing so. Just quick color on them. I've interviewed them for Due Diligence podcast. So probably everybody listening to this is familiar with Charles and Colvard, not a shareholder. Similar. Everybody likes to quickly, because how many lab grown microcap or lab grown diamond microcaps have there actually been out there, right? So that's always the quick comparison. And they're trying to compete in their way. They have their own competitive advantages. I invite everybody to go check out that interview. They're also trying to do somewhat of a tech play, it sounds like, as well, where they're not just wanting to do lab-grown diamonds for consumer. They also see an opportunity on the tech side of things and creating those diamonds and for some of these a utilitarian reason. Who would have thought?
Industrial diamonds, absolutely.
Yeah. Industrial lab-grown diamonds. How about that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we got Ammo Inc., another publicly traded company, POWW. Are you familiar with this one?
Not at all. I noticed that it's bigger than what I usually look at, about a $700 million market cap company. So not familiar with it. US based is what I understand. So again, another company that I want to follow up and get to understand.
Absolutely. Okay. And quick, I'm sure almost everybody has definitely heard of Ammo Inc. on here at some point. You know, they are their main asset, I think most people know them for, is gunbroker.com. It's where you can go online, buy and sell firearms. Come and check them out. Come and
Absolutely.
I just want to double check their market cap because sometimes that can be a little delayed. So just okay. So it's not 700. It is. I'm going to talk with the tech team, the software team, to update this. They're at as of today, August 21st, 2023, at 242 million.
Okay, I was off a little bit.
That wasn't your fault.
Okay.
All right. So, and are you a shareholder in Ammo? Or
I'm not. No, I will. I think I'm only a shareholder of one company, but on the list here. But we'll go through one by one.
Got it. All right. So ArcPoint Inc. This actually came to us from, I don't know if he wants me to say which what investor recommended that they participate, but ARC on the TSX Venture is a totally new company for me. Never interviewed them before, featured. So I'd love to get your insight there.
Yeah, so one that I'm not super familiar with, but I do know a little bit. This sort of was generated from a company that I used to be a shareholder of. The business, the entity was sold off. The company ended up with a bunch of cash, and then went looking for another business to invest in. ArcPoint is the company that they invested in. If I remember correctly, they do a form of online software for healthcare facilities, things like that. Don't know it well, so actively waiting to get a chance to look at them, find out where the business is right now. And of course, I'm not a shareholder of that company right now.
Very good. All right. Next up, we got Boardwalk Tech Software Corp, BWLK on the venture, and BWLKF in the US. I've known this name for a long time. I know you have too. So Andy Duncan, CEO, one of the sweetest, nicest CEOs out
Absolutely.
there. Like, it doesn't get nicer. And so love to get your take there.
Yeah. So again, a business that we've interviewed in the past as well. Want to get a nice update there. What I actually found interesting about this company is they had the option. They're based out of Silicon Valley, if I'm not mistaken, or California for sure. And they had the option of going and getting venture financing or taking the route and going public up here in Canada, and decided to do that and get listed up here. So I'm very interested to follow up, get to understand where they are now. I know this is a software business that continues to grow nicely. So I want to catch up with the team there and find out. And on this company as well, I'm not sure.
Very good. I'm gonna go quick because there's actually now that I realize it, like you end up doing 5 minutes on each name, and we'll here for
the ones I know I might speak a little longer, but yeah.
Fair enough. I'm sure, Liz, everyone knows what company they're waiting to hear your thoughts on. And so as soon as we get there, we'll know. That's when we know it's like, okay, we'll be doing 15 minutes on this.
You got it.
So, so next one up, we got CCOM Satellite Systems, CMI on the TSX Venture, CYSNF in the US. CCOM, Dr. Leslie Klein, thoughts?
Yeah, so you know what? This is a company that I've followed for a number of years. I've been in and out of the satellite industry in a lot of ways. I was actually involved in a satellite company years ago. I think there's another big resurgence in satellite technologies coming out right now. You've got Starlink, and you've got Jeff Bezos and a whole bunch of others that are out there putting satellites up like crazy. I'm really interested in seeing this one, mostly find out really how they're going to be able to take advantage of this new wave of technology and sort of the dramatic drop in data costs that's provided via satellite. So these guys provide different components and different satellite technology. Profitable business, has been profitable for a number of years. I think they even pay a small dividend, if I'm not mistaken, but great business. Can't wait to see these guys.
Very cool. All right. Dr. Klein will love to hear that.
And I'm not a shareholder. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got Coho Collective Kitchens, COHO on the venture. Also, completely brand new one for me. This is they are a client at Adelaide Capital. Think with Deb Honig, who's fantastic. And so, love to hear your thoughts.
Again, I love it when, as we used to say, you get one past the goalie. This is one I don't know very well. Looking forward to, I get a sense I might know what kind of business it is, but really want to talk to management, find out what these guys are doing. So it's a new one for me.
Very cool. All right. I know you know this one for sure. This one has had some pretty big news throughout the at least at the beginning of the year, and now they're in the middle of the integration of the R.R. Donnelley Canadian operations. We got Data Communications Management Corp, DCM, on the TSX. I know you've known this name for a while. I'd love to get your take on what they've accomplished so far this year. It's been a lot.
So this is an example. What we say is boring is beautiful. The core business, you'd argue, is quite boring. They do printing, they do sort of online marketing and offline marketing, material printing and sort of packages, all this sort of stuff together. Yes, they bought the old Yellow Pages. If you remember Yellow Pages, the R.R. Donnelley business. These guys have hit it out of the park. Fantastic management team. Have done a spectacular job running this business and finding opportunities to acquire. Again, a boring business that's done nothing but provide sexy returns for their shareholders. The stock's done very well this year. This is another one that's high on my list of companies that I got to go and talk to.
Very cool. By the way, another quick note, listen, this is an in-person investor conference. We will be webcasting all the presentations. The main meat and potatoes of coming to the event, obviously, is you want to be able to shake hands with everybody, network with, I'd love to meet you in person if I haven't already. I'm sure Paul would love to meet you. But what's nice about this as well is that, you're getting a little insight. So if you can't be there in person, you know what companies maybe you want to listen to their webcast live and, maybe give some feedback from there. So just wanted to add, I'm trying to give a little color after
Absolutely.
maybe 3 or 4.
Absolutely. So, good job.
Thanks, man. I'm trying, as a host, I feel like I'm finally learning something, but there's so much more. Anyways, let's keep going. Earth Renew, ERTH on the CSE, VVIVF on the OTCQB. This came in from our friend Philippe Earhart from ESG Fire, who also has a phenomenal article coming out in the Planet MicroCap Review magazine that I cannot wait for everybody to read about ESG investing 101 from his perspective and how he's gained outside returns. Having said all that, Earth Renew. Paul, your thoughts?
So, so Philip, I know him fairly well. Very, very smart individual, especially when it comes to ESG names like this. This is a company that I know he's pounding the table on. He's very excited about. This company does regenerative fertilizer and generates energy through some, biomass and things like that. Really interesting company. They just got some validation from some government funding they received in order to build out one of their facilities or brand new facility. This one is intriguing to me. Well, it doesn't meet most of the criteria we look for. It's a kind of company that I keep very close on the radar screen because you're starting to see some really sort of interesting sort of things come together that should be value creating. So we've spoken to the management team here before, but I'm really looking forward to catching up since a couple big news releases they put out over the last couple of months here.
Absolutely. So actually, I have breaking news. I have a company that I've been waiting on a confirmation, but they're now signing up to present is Flight Aerospace Solutions, FLY on the TSX Venture, FLYLF on the OTCQX. Flight, I think they presented at in Vegas, not this year, but the year before. I know they had a tragedy, I believe, at the board of director level, but I mean, I heart goes out to their family and whatnot. But I'd love to get your take on how things have evolved at Flight from your perspective.
So again, Flight's a name that I've known for a long time. They make sort of recording and measurement systems and call them systems for airlines, for airplanes. So a lot of growth in the airline industry, a lot of opportunities to grow through the different airlines and I guess the more flights that we're seeing right now as everybody's getting back up in the air. Growing business, very scalable business. That's something that we look for in these type of facilities or businesses. one that I haven't really followed up very closely for quite a while. So one will be on my list to meet and catch up on. So good on you for getting these guys there.
100%. And our thoughts are with, it's Bill Tempany, who unexpectedly passed away in December 2022. So our heart goes out to the family and of Bill Tempany's family, and also to the whole flight team. And, you know, at the same time, we're also very much looking forward to seeing them in Vancouver and to network with them and see them. So next up, we have participating is Electrovaya. It's ELVA on both the TSX and NASDAQ. I know you've known this one for a while too. I've been following this story as well. That Jason Roy, who runs our IR there, me and him talk quite often. We actually just had Dr. Dasgupta on the due diligence series. So if you want to hear the full wrap on Electrovaya, I invite you to go check that out. Paul, your thoughts?
Very topical these days, obviously. Electric, ion lithium batteries. We're able to really grow their revenues strongly over the course of this last year. They're at a pretty major inflection point for their business, in our opinion. As a matter of fact, just turned profitable, which is something we look for. Very topical, very hot industry. Numbers are starting to prove these guys out, and again, a great opportunity to meet a company like this. You don't get this type of opportunity very often.
Very cool. Next up, we got EnviroGold Global. They presented in Vegas earlier this year. They're very interesting business model. You know, they're basically, from my perspective, by the way, thank you to the Harbor Access team. You know, they also represent EnviroGold as well as Boardwalk Tech. So thank you to Graham and the team there. I know they'll be there in Vancouver to hang out with us. But back to EnviroGold, they basically have a tech solution to help mining companies that have mines that are up and running to monetize their tailings, right? So kind of they have a pilot program going on in Australia that I think I'm not positive, but I believe they're working on they either have published or they're probably working on getting the data out there for folks to see, you know, their recoveries and how much they're making from that, you know. But it's a mining adjacent. I said when I market this, we're not having any mining companies here, but this and Geodrill are the most mining like companies we have. So, you know, Paul, I'm not sure how much you know about the story, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So this is one I don't know very well at all. So looking forward to it. We don't do much in the mining, the pure mining space. But the ancillary services are the companies that service the mining guys. We look at those guys. So anxious to see. I've got a couple of friends that are, very well versed in this industry, so I might drag them along to make sure they.
Do you live in Vancouver and you have some friends that are well versed in the mining industry?
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah. Hard to believe, but yeah.
That's good. And by the way, the symbol is NVRO on the venture. Right. Next up, we got Geodrill. GEO on the TSX. I think we've had them presented almost the last like 3 or 4 events that we've done. And actually their presentation this year, Dave is going to be doing a virtual presentation, but Joanna is going to be there doing one-on-ones on behalf of the company. And so they're a global company. They're traveling all over the place, you know, with providing drilling services to mining companies in Africa. I think Dave's based in England.
Africa, yeah.
Oh, is he based in Africa?
I think he's well, I know their headquarters are in Africa. But like these guys are all over the place, flying like crazy.
Yeah. So I know you know the story well.
So. Yeah, we know the story very well. It's something that we were very, in what's the word? We like a lot. They had a bit of a hiccup this last quarter due to some of the unrest in some of the markets they have in Africa. But it's a profitable company. They are they're driller and they drill in Africa. They're now moving into Latin America as well. We think the stock is, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say cheap, but it meets a lot of our criteria. It's been, like I said, it's been hit a little bit because of some of the unrest, but they're starting to manage around that. Company pays a dividend, nicely profitable. And this is how we like to play the mining space. We like to play it through sort of the shovel providers to the miners. And we think this is really well worth taking a good look at. And I'm not a shareholder of this company at the moment.
Very good. Next up, we got Global Crossing Airlines Group Inc. JET on the NEO, JET, and JETMF on the OTCQB. It's an airline. All right. So I had them on due diligence. They were in Vegas. Definitely interested in your thoughts here.
Yeah, I haven't really invested in the airline industry before. Don't profess to know it very well. This is a company that's relatively new. I know they've sort of been around a few years, but anxious to sort of find out what makes them different, what makes them better. And I know a couple investors that are relatively close to the deal. They're pretty excited about it, and these are guys I respect. So I'll be spending some time learning what I can about the business.
Very good. All right, so here's probably the name that everyone's been waiting for your thoughts on. That's going to be presenting in Vancouver. Immunoprecise Antibodies, IPA on NASDAQ. Paul, floor is yours.
Okay, so first off, I am a shareholder. So this is the company I'm a shareholder of. I was instrumental in helping it go public. So it's a business right now that's had its challenges over the last year. They're a life science company providing services to major pharmaceutical companies. They do what's called contract research. So more times than not, large biopharmaceutical companies don't do their own research. They actually outsource that, and they would outsource it to companies like Immunoprecise. The company's been able to grow its revenues nicely over the last several years, but they also have a piece of the business that is related to their own sort of drug discovery and own drug development. That's where they've been challenged because they spent a fair bit of effort and resources in developing drugs for COVID. Of course, COVID is significantly different than when it was 2 years ago. So the company is kind of repurposing itself a little bit. They've got they bought an artificial intelligence business about a year and a half ago, and are now sort of merging everything together as a one-stop shop for all the different services that these pharmaceutical companies need. So I think it's worth looking at right now because of the valuation. It is trading near sort of all-time lows. And the business is, I'd argue, stronger than it's been ever. So I'm, like everybody else, I'm a shareholder now and anxious to get as much of an update as I can. So looking forward to this one, but this is one that I'm a shareholder of.
Absolutely. So one quick follow-up to IPA, because I think, listen, we could probably do a whole podcast on your thesis on IPA and kind of everything that's gone on in this company. Because, look, this is at one point, it was over 200 million. It's a high flyer. I mean, I think from the low during COVID in March 2020, I think all the way to the high January 1, 2021. I mean, that's less than a year. It went from what, 260 to $17 at the high. I mean, and now it's back below that. Now it's trading at 211 today. So I mean, what's been going on with this story? Because you hear so many different things about it. So what's going on?
Well, I think first off, I think the biggest impact is from just the general industry. So everything in life science space, including the big names like Pfizer and names that everybody recognizes. The stocks have been hit. They've gone from all being in favor to now being out of favor, and predominantly because a lot of the smaller companies are money burning businesses, right? They have to go through a lot of money to generate these assets. The difference with this type of company, though, is it is not a pure sort of binary biotech where it's all dependent on one outcome. This is a business that generates a fair bit of revenue from its sort of servicing side and is able to take some chances that dramatically reduce cost to develop some of these drugs or other services. So, it's been swept up with the hype of life sciences, and it's been swept down with sort of the flip side of the hype. And now it's got to sort of, it's got to kind of I wouldn't say reform itself, but the market's got to come back to this type of business. And it always does. I've been around this industry for a long, long time, and you get the highs and you get the lows. You also get, when you take some chances, they don't work out, you get sort of punished, you get put in the penalty box for a while. But as long as you've got that staying power and the ability to sort of get back up there and do it again, you keep getting these chances, but all while the business continues to grow. So it's the reason I'm a big shareholder. I don't like to invest in binary outcomes. This isn't quite like that. It has some of that flavor to it, but the real backbone of the business continues to grow, and there's some exciting things starting to happen again.
100%. I mean, how much in these situations, from your experience, does management get punished? Because, and I'm not trying to make a judgment on Dr. Bath by any means, because she's been staying the ship, doing what she's got to do. But, you know, you see these, you know, round trip situations, and sometimes management gets punished despite executing.
Well, it's, yeah, like I said, like more or less every company I know in the space has been punished to some degree. So I can't believe that every management team has been unsuccessful. Part of it is the investor psychology around these things. So I would argue that the majority of the reason these things get overhyped is the same reason why things get, you know, beaten up to an excess. And that's just investor psyche, right? You get that when everybody is sort of on one side of the boat, it starts to lean one way, and when everybody runs the other side of the boat, it leans the other way. So you can't the fault can't fall on management. It has to be somewhat shared around. And, you know, always in hindsight, you can look back and say things could have been done differently. I think that's the case for every industry and every CEO there is out there. But I've got a lot of faith and belief in the management team and what they've been able to put together. And I think there's you know, better times ahead for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so now let's move on. Like I said, that was the one that we were going to do the 10.
That was where to spend the most time.
I think we did good. I think we did.
I
we
did
10.
Okay. Yeah.
I think 10 minutes. So next up, we have another Neo company, Interfield Global Software Inc. IFSS on Neo. I haven't even had a chance to do an interview with them yet, so I have a little kind of very what's the word? Surface level understanding of their business and whatnot. So I'm not sure if you heard of them yet, but if you
when I saw their name, I went and tried to look them up right away, and I couldn't find anything in my notes. So and sure enough, this thing's been around since I think February. So it's a relatively new company. I don't know anything about it other than the name right now. So the reason I do these type of conferences is I love to go and see some new names like this and get sort of hear it from the horse's mouth.
For sure. And just to give them a little bit so that, you know, you can hear one liner at least of what they do. They're a software company that services numerous industrial segments worldwide, including oil and gas, mining, and renewables. All right. Picks and shovels. Here we go. Some tech picks and shovels. You'll like this one, or just the story around. So it's a company called Infinity Energy Systems. They are a vanadium battery energy storage company. They are not listed in Canada. They have an AIM listing, IES, and then an OTC listing, IESVF, and yet their main facility, or one of their main plants, is in Vancouver, and literally around the corner from where we're doing the conference. So that when they signed up, at first I was like, wait a second, and then I saw that was where they had their plan. I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like, this is we're all right here. So, you know, I'm not sure if you took a look at this one as well, but I just published an interview with them. So
again, another one that I know nothing about right now. So I've got my work cut out for me. I'm gonna see what I can find out about them.
If you know a vanadium expert, you know, let me know as well.
I can barely pronounce it. I can let alone find somebody that knows what it's about. Yeah,
that's good stuff. All right, we got a classic. This is a MCC, a classic cult name. We got Issuer Direct Corp, CEO Brian Balbirnie. The symbol is ISDR on the NYC American. In fact, our basically back-end software for running the conference is thanks to Issuer Direct. So if you have any issues, you know, call them. But you know, Brian's good people. You know, he's been supporter. We've been supporters of him. He's been supporters of us for years. So I'm not sure how much you know about the business. I'm sure you've seen him.
I know enough. I think you know, in the business we're in, you know, involved in the stock market, whether we're involved in conferences or any sort of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that we don't, you know, as investors, the average investor doesn't really see. And the more seamless it is, the more enjoyable kind of the job that we do day in, day out gets, right? So these guys are the glue that kind of keeps a lot of information flowing properly to investors. Brian's a great guy. I've met him a few times. I think I've been on a panel with him a couple times in different conferences. Super nice guy, has really done a great job of building basically a business from scratch. And, we've been able to sort of watch him mature the business as we go here. And, great little business, found an opportunity, is fixing a pain point that a lot of people in our industry suffer. And, I'm if anything, I'm looking forward just to catching up with him because he's a super nice guy.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of really quality insight too, having to do with what's going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Markets, everything. So next up, we got Kraken Robotics, PNG, on the venture. I believe I don't have their OTC symbol pulled up here. Let me just get it real quick for all. KRKNF in the US. We've known Kraken forever.
We don't get too many companies that are based out of Newfoundland, one of the greatest parts of this country. Robotics, really exciting technology. One of the smartest guys I know in the industry is a big fan of this company. They do specialized batteries and specialized robotics for deep water searching and mapping and things like that. Business continues to grow. They're getting larger and larger orders. They're getting validated by different governments and different sort of navies around the world. Really interesting technology. Really looking forward to catching up with the team there. But another great little business that is somewhat obscure and has world-class technology. Really a company that you want to get a chance to take a look at.
Very cool. All right. And by the way, that was they work with the boys at Safa Capital. So a shout out to Sean and Marcel and Nick there. Good guys. I believe they'll be there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. All right. So now actually the next two they won't be there in person. They're going to be doing a virtual presentation. So this is more of just an overview to see if you want to go and check them out online. So we got Lightwave Logic, LWLG on NASDAQ. Paul, you heard of this one?
The name, I've heard the name before. I think it's been mentioned a few times in MicroCap Club, but don't really know it. I don't think I've ever seen them present in the past. Another one that I want to take a look at and see what it's all about.
Very good. I'm sure you know this one. They just recently changed the name. It was formerly Mama Mancini's. Now it's Mama's Creations. New symbol as well. It is MAMA, Mama, on NASDAQ. So this is formerly the Mama Mancini's, MMMB. It's not just meatballs anymore. No more just meatballs. So, Paul, I know you've had a couple of meatballs.
I've had a few of my times. Yeah, I've had a few. Yeah. If I remember correctly, they were involved in pizza and all sorts of other, old school Italian food, which my mom would be proud of. What a lot of smart people I know this company, like this company. Usually when that happens, it makes me want to, dig deeper. I haven't really taken a good look at this company in probably 3 or 4 years. I know it's significant changes in that time frame. So looking forward to catching up and getting back up to speed and tasting it out. How's that? Yeah.
Vegas. Yeah. We'll have them bring it in for Vegas. So next up we got Media Valet, MVP on the TSX. Media Valet presented at a couple of our virtuals over the last couple of years here, and so I know quite a few investors. I always talk to a few on what names to look at. Media Valley has been on a few of those lists. So I'd like to get your thoughts there.
Yeah. So really interesting. Again, a name that we've known for a number of years. One of the key individuals there, the chairman of the board, very well respected in the industry, in the software industry. This is a company that takes basically video content and helps you index it or manage video content for whether it's marketing purposes or whether it's different presentations and things like that. A consistent grower over the years. This is a SaaS business, with that healthy SaaS type of revenue that everybody kind of looks for. Really sharp management team here. I got to bring that up over and over again. great quality team and very interesting business. And I look forward to catching up.
Very
And
good.
love their symbol, by the way, MVP.
Yeah, that they definitely lucked out with that symbol. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. All right, Microbics Biosystems, MBX, also on the TSX. I think also a name that you've known for a while now.
So. Yeah, I've known it for a long time. I've actually seen their facilities, visited their facilities out in Mississauga, Ontario. It's a life science company, a Canadian-based life science company. They generate different products for testing and test kits. Had a pretty decent sort of run around the COVID time. But this, even outside of COVID, this has a tremendous amount of business for a whole bunch of other disease testing. It's almost a critical type of component these guys manufacture. Again, very, very savvy, smart team there. A relatively well-known life science name. And what I do like about this is they've got a core business, but they've got some real sort of, say, potential call options on some other stuff that they're working on, which could make the business a lot more exciting than it currently is. Yeah.
Interesting. Next one up, I got, and apologies, we're now running through them. Like I said, we could be here for probably 2 hours if we like
we'll go through a few faster and some slower. Yeah.
If I had a comment on every single one.
Yeah.
And apologies for, if if the name of your company is, closer to Z than it is to A. Usually the closer to A gets the more covers than the closer. Yeah. Anyways, now next up, MineHub Technologies, MHUB on the TSX Venture and MHUBF on the OTCQB. I just interviewed the CEO last week, actually. Interesting story. I don't know if have you heard?
No, I mean, I know the name, but I'm if it's one that I think of, it's a software around mining, either mining sort of drilling programs or engineering programs. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Just like digitizing their whole supply chain for the commodity space. Like, I think they're when I asked her, like, who is that real target customer, it was like straight up just mining. They need that. They need to have, digitize some of these processes in order to reduce costs for, we can all imagine, things that probably could use a price reduction. So yeah, relatively new name.
Yeah. If anything, one thing I do know is that it's one of those industries where there's a lot of like old school way of doing businesses. Any kind of technology that's brought to the table, you see some pretty dramatic impacts because of it. So hopefully this is one of them. I'd love to find out.
100%. Yeah, they were brought in from the team from Pardeep. So thank you guys and for introducing us to a new name here. So we got an analysis. Scientific, NSCI on the TSX Venture, NSCIF on the QX. Analysis, Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Sean, I've met Sean a number of times. Really smart group of people there. This is sort of really well above my head as far as technology. They're able to basically analyze basic compounds in a very sort of cost-effective way. A machine that used to take up a whole room now has been shrunk down to a tabletop version, and these guys are able to very rapidly and very efficiently analyze the components of almost anything, whether it's chemical makeup of a drug, or whether it's counterfeit olive oil, for example, or anything that you can think of, food sources, drugs, a number of different things. Really interesting industry, and these guys have taken a lot of pretty sort of amazing technology and shrunk it down to something that you and I can actually use. It almost looks like the size of a toaster. It's pretty amazing what these guys have done.
Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't seen them present in a while, so I'm looking forward to that one. Next up, we got Novaleap Health Corp. And by the way, hold on, before I get to them, looking forward to everybody presenting. We're just very thankful that people want to come and join us in Vancouver.
Absolutely.
And so, when you hear me say that, it's not like it's a ubiquitous, interesting, and excited to see them all. Okay. Having said that, Novaleap Health, NLH on the TSX Venture, Chris Dobbin, the CEO. So love to get your thoughts here.
Yeah, one of the very first companies that we interviewed live long time ago. What they do is they basically take out of hospital nursing care, sort of in-home nursing care, and they're aggregating or acquiring different operations around the world, or not around the world, sorry, in mostly Eastern Canada and Eastern US and certain geographic areas, and efficiently bringing this to the market. The CEO's an accountant, very numbers driven, looks at these acquisitions on a very sort of numbers basis, and has been able to grow, into a quite nice sized business by acquiring these sort of smaller operators and effectively sort of synergizing them. So, great acquisitive business that goes after these somewhat boring businesses that can turn out to be quite sexy as far as results.
Also representing Nova Scotia
Nova Scotia, another East Coast company that I'd love to see. Absolutely.
See, I thought you'd like that. Well,
yeah,
we got to make sure you said about Newfoundland. I got to
exactly.
Got to make sure every province.
Exactly. We got to try to cover them all. Yeah,
that's right. All right. Next up, we have Pronoforms, PFM on the TSX Venture. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, another SaaS type business, growing nicely. Some pretty impressive team members there as well. Some real high end individuals as far as shareholders. We haven't been able to catch up with this team probably in about a year and a half, so we've got some catching up to do, and another group that I want to make sure I get in front of so I can update my notes.
Sounds good. And then Sabio Holdings, we can quickly go through that. I mean, I've known Aziz forever, or it feels like forever now. He's a local here in LA. But SBIO on the venture, they're only going to be presenting virtually for this one. So if you want to see their presentation, go and check it out online. So Paul, your quick thoughts on Sabio.
So one of the fastest growing businesses that we've seen in the last little while, especially in the space they're in, they are involved in kind of, I can't remember the name of the segment that they're in, but the streaming industry that we're seeing right now, they're able to monetize the streaming industry in a very different way than I think Netflix, think all the different sort of new platforms that you're getting your streaming TV on. These guys are able to sort of sit in the middle between the provider and the consumer, and able to manage that very rapidly growing business, one that I'm really anxious to get caught up on.
Very cool. And then this is the next company is relatively brand new, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think they're brand new as in like they just started yesterday, but this is, I believe, their first conference they've ever presented at. Mm-hmm. They really don't do a lot of these. And but Simply Better Brands Corp. It's publicly traded, SBBC on the TSX Venture, and PKANF on the OTCQB. I'll actually be interviewing management in a couple of days here. So love to get your thoughts from what you've seen on them.
So I know very little about this company, other than the fact that this company, probably more than any other company on your list, has been recommended to me to go and talk to. So again, I take that seriously. When I get smart guys that are telling me I've got to go and talk to somebody, I listen. So this is very high on my list of companies that I've got to go and see and basically learn about for the first time.
Very good. We'll leave it at that. We'll keep it a mystery. I mean, consumer good, consumer good to me right now. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Next up, we got Society Pass, SOPA on NASDAQ. Dennis Wynn will be joining us in Vancouver. He was just in Vegas with us as well. So your thoughts on Society Pass?
I know nothing about it. So, one that's going to, one that I've got to go and see and find out about. So I'll be on the list of one-on-ones for this company, so I can get myself up to speed. But otherwise, I know nothing about it. I see that it's based in Singapore is what I see here. So, a company that has not crossed my desk at all right now.
Absolutely. He's making the trip. All right.
Absolutely.
So we got Tantalus Systems, GRID on the TSX. Peter Londa will be joining us from there. He came to Vegas for his first event, and now he is joining us in Vancouver. And so your thoughts on Tantalus?
So the symbol grid is appropriate. This company does smart grid applications. So if you think of the electrical system across the country here in North America, You know that it's being completely taxed right now. It is, more and more electricity is being used. We've got to find a better way of either producing electricity or delivering it where it's got to go. This is another company that is fairly well known in Canada from a venture capital side of the business. It's been public now for a couple of years. I really want to get to know this business a little bit more, because if you believe that we're only going to be using more electricity, companies like this are going to be pretty important to get that system up and running better.
Yep. So that's Tantalus. They're going to be there in
Yep.
Vancouver. Next up, we got Tribe Property Technologies, TRBE on the TSX Venture, TRPTF on the OTCQB. I just spoke with them, so it's still slightly fresh in my mind, but I always botch sometimes these quick. I'm not as good as you yet in terms of giving the quick one-liner on what each of these companies do, but basically it's a software solution to help property management companies streamline their operations. Wow, that was pretty good.
Exactly. You nailed it. And if you know anything about, well, I mean, most I say most cities across North America right now are suffering from whether it's low vacancy rates or housing issues. To properly manage anything from rentals to quasi rentals, this type of software is becoming more and more in demand. And these guys have a unique way of delivering their services and sort of a more cohesive and one-stop shop for the different services that property management firms need. Very interesting CEO there as well, very capable, well respected. I think another company that deserves to be looked at.
100%. Yeah, no, that CEO, I think, if I remember correctly, you worked with Hamed. He was the COO of TO.
Absolutely.
And then they sold TO, and then now he's working here. So next up, we got Vision Marine Technologies, VMAR on NASDAQ. I believe they're originally a Quebec or Montreal-based company. So your thoughts?
I don't know him well enough to say anything right now. I'm looking forward to it. This is the name that doesn't really ring a bell for me. So and that's pretty rare. So I'm going to try to see what I can find out about it. But looking forward to it. Yeah.
And then speaking of TO, from the not from Vision Marine, but from Tribe. Listen, they're one company away from each other, so I couldn't properly segue that, but I did it, roundabout. But Hamid Shabazi me and him will actually be doing a fireside Q&A talking about Well Health Technologies. So he'll be there doing that as well. And I don't think he's going to be there to do one-on-one specifically. He's just going to be there on that Wednesday. So if you want to grab some time with him, you'll be able to during the day on that Wednesday. But we'll be doing the fireside. I know, Hamid's basically a legend in microcap at this point.
He's almost with the Wayne Gretzky of microcaps here, certainly in Canada. Yeah. I mean, what can I say? He's done a masterful job, both in the past with another business and now with Well Health, grown the business from, I'd say about $20-30 million market cap company to probably close to $1 billion here. Really super nice guy. Is very well connected, has been able to really stick handle. I mean, microcaps are difficult to begin with, but he's done a phenomenal job of stick handling sort of the dangerous parts of this industry and grown, a real sizable business, very well respected in the industry. There's too many good things to say about Hamid, and it's we don't have enough time. So, I think a lot of people probably know Well Health. But if you get an opportunity to just meet the guy and get to, just get to say hi, I think it's well worth it.
100%. And we're very thankful that he's taking the time and doing this little fireside, talk about, I think we're going to get into Well Health, where they're at right now, recent performance, all that stuff. But also, for those that don't know, how he got to where he is and, previous exits and, building the legend, which I'm sure he'll quote you. You call him the Wayne Gretzky of microcaps. Like, if he doesn't quote that, I mean, he's a missed opportunity.
You know what? He's up there. He's at least on Team Canada. That's for sure. Yeah,
that's awesome. And then last but not least, we made it. We're at our final company that will be joining us as of today, on August 21st, is Wishpond Technologies, publicly traded company, of course, WISH on the venture, Wish, and WPNDF on the OTCQX. Paul, take it away.
Yeah, so another business that's made it through some of our lists as well. They do online sort of business solutions, especially around marketing. So if you're, if you're thinking of starting a small business and wanted to bring it online, these guys have products and services that help you market and help you get it sort of up and running and sort of thriving. So growing business, again, another interesting management team here. The SaaS type business model that looks great, and due for an update for us. So again, we're going to take this opportunity to catch up with the team there.
All right. We did it. We went through all 35 names. I mean, any final thoughts on the list that we just went through? I mean, even just going through it one by one, I'm kind of give myself a little pat here. I mean, I think we really put together a really nice list of names, and companies that have been on the circuit, haven't done a lot of these in a while, and a real opportunity for folks to get a nice update from them.
Yeah, no, I exactly that. I think it's a really well-rounded list of names. I'm happy to see that they're not all companies that I know, right? That's part of the secret to this sort of stuff, is try to get some new ideas, and other companies that I do know that I need updates on. So for me, I love these conferences because you get that chance to catch up, you get the chance to see some new ideas, and then probably more important than anything else is you get to mix and mingle with others and share ideas. So I'm looking forward to it. I love the opportunity to do that. I think we've got a great list of companies to keep us all busy, and it'll be a fun couple of days, and should be very productive for those that are serious about this sort of stuff.
So with that, to register to join us, it's not too late. It's complimentary for investors. Go to planetmicrocapshowcase.com and join us there. And Paul, you can reach him. He's at smallcapdiscoveries.com. You can follow him on Twitter as well, at Paul Andreola. Paul, it's almost here. 2 weeks.
I haven't seen you in person in a long time, Bobby, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun, and it'll be very productive. I know it'll be worth everybody's while.
100%, man. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing everybody who's listening or watching there. So, all right. See you there. See you in Vancouver.
See you there. Bye, Bobby.
And one more quick disclaimer regarding the Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver, our upcoming event. We do receive cash compensation from presenters, sponsors, and participants who utilize our outlets. We do not receive compensation for and do not engage in providing advice, making recommendations, issuing reports, or furnishing analyses on any of the company's security strategies or information presented. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of an offer to buy or sell securities. SNN Network, SNN Inc., and the Planet MicroCap podcast and the representatives are not licensed brokers, broker-dealers, market makers, investment bankers, investment advisors, analysts, or underwriters. We do not recommend any companies discussed. We may buy and sell securities in any company mentioned and may profit in the event those securities rise in value. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor, broker, or legal counsel before purchasing or selling any securities referenced in this podcast.